Chiang Kai-Shek was born in 1887 in Shiko in Fenghua, Zhejiang. With the nation embroiled in all sorts of internal as well as external problems, Chiang also encountered tremendous difficulties while growing up. After my father's death, while I was a child, my mother and I suffered a lot from the oppression of the petty gentry and corrupt officials. We lived in such misery.
寡母孤儿啊，在乡里面呢，都受到一些，我想歧视。为什么他后来会走向改革的一种道路去啊？这是一个很重要的一个成长的背景。
Due to the hardship, his mother brought him up with strict discipline and high expectations. As he recorded in his diary, "Thus, my mother wanted me to study hard and have a career, and I knew that only by so doing could I wipe out this humiliation."
他是一个有恒心、有毅力，这个意志非常坚强。
Keenly sensing the need for himself and his nation to become rich, powerful, and independent, Chiang Kai-Shek decided to get a military education. He went to Japan in 1908 to study modern military. The whole world is awash with fighting spirit where the weaker ones have no voice. Recovering our sacred motherland and carrying out my responsibility, that's the purpose of my coming to Japan.
他的印象最深刻的，当然第一个就是他在军队里面所受到的军事教育。就是他早上一大早就要起来，在那种冰天雪地里面要起来刷马，所以这个就锻炼他一种坚毅的这种性格。
Frigid weather. The winter always snowed heavily. But because it required exertion to clean the horses, a very diligent effort, even under such low temperatures, it didn't feel cold. The hands and feet were warm, sometimes even sweating.
在他的后来的整个一个训练里面呢，或者是生活习惯里面呢，就养成了一个刻苦、吃苦耐劳，而且呢，接受严厉考验的一种意志的一种展现。
Harboring determination, Chiang Kai-Shek organized a commando unit and joined the uprisings of the Xinhai Revolution. In 1912, the Manchu dynasty was overthrown and the Republic of China officially established. It was Asia's first democratic republic. Having personally taken part in the revolution, the life of young Chiang Kai-Shek thus began a new chapter. However, would there be a smooth, clear blue sky ahead? After the founding of the Republic of China, warlords competed for power, fought each other wildly, and brought the nation into chaos. Chiang Kai-Shek never changed his aspiration. He continued to follow Dr. Sun Yat-sen, hoping to build a prosperous, powerful, and modernized nation.
我认为蒋公是一个领导者，而且他是国父的忠实的信徒。
For a long time, China was internally carved up by various warlords. This gravely hindered its development. Dr. Sun Yat-sen personally led the Northern Expedition. In 1924, he founded the Whampoa Academy and put Chiang Kai-Shek in charge, in the hope of using the military power of the party to reform the nation.
孙先生身边呢，懂得军事的人并不多啊。那么这是呢，蒋先之所以能够被后来被重用的一个很重要的一个原因之一。
On March 13, 1925, Dr. Sun Yat-sen passed away. Chiang Kai-Shek became his heir in the party. In 1926, Chiang Kai-Shek took office as the commander-in-chief of the National Revolutionary Army, leading the Northern Expedition and heading toward unification.
当这个政府继续留在广州，这前途堪危，所以要打出一条路，就是要北伐，创造一个新的局面。
As the National Revolutionary Army advanced, Chiang Kai-Shek, the rising political star, found that a silent revolution had also begun in his personal life.
所以他说认为啊，做一个革命者呢，他应该是追求的是一个他自己的啊，认为啊好的一个婚姻，这个是一个所谓的自由观念上的一种改变。
Before he went to Japan, Chiang Kai-shek accepted the arrangement of his mother to marry a country girl, Mao Fu-mei, who gave birth to a son, Jiang Jingguo. However, he was not satisfied with this marriage. When recalling why he and his wife could not get along, he said, "It was not because of problems between them, but due to the bad practice of early marriage."
所以他经历过那个时代，也看过那些进步的一种刊物，当然在所谓的自由恋爱观上啊，也受到了启发。
Even in pursuit of love, Chiang Kai-shek never forgot his mission. With the Northern Expedition crumbling the opposition, the most important woman in his life also stealthily entered his heart. She was Song Mei-ling. Song Mei-ling had studied in the United States and was the new woman of the age. Her family had good political as well as commercial connections. Besides sponsoring Dr. Sun Yat-sen's revolutionary efforts, her second elder sister, Song Qingling, had married Dr. Sun. When I first met Madame Song, I immediately felt that she was my ideal partner.
会互相吸引，一定是有他的条件嘛。第一个，他的观念更进步；第二个，他是出身革命家庭，本来就对我们讲的社会的一种改良、国家的一种改造，有这样的一种浓厚的使命感。所以这个当然跟蒋先生的革命之夜是契合的。
On December 1st, 1927, Chiang Kai-shek and Song Mei-ling were married in Shanghai in grand style. Spectators jostled to get a glimpse of the couple. Over 1,000 guests witnessed and celebrated the union.
他说他要改造蒋介石，其实他觉得蒋中正不如他洋派，不如他这个前进，所以他觉得他是一个老土。可是他非常赞同蒋先生把这个国家放在自己身上的这样的一种勇气，或者是说一种负担。
宋美龄这个跟蒋结婚之后啊，蒋先生在男女的感情上啊，是做了很大的一个改变。从此之后，他心中唯一最爱的就是宋美龄。
After their marriage, Chiang Kai-shek, with the encouragement and support of Song Mei-ling, continued to lead the Northern Expedition. In 1928, the warlords largely succumbed and the nation was unified. That was a milestone. The Republic of China bid farewell to years of chaos and tumult and entered a golden decade of political tutelage. Chiang became the supreme leader of the state. December 12, 1936, early in the morning, while most people were still asleep, a major incident quietly occurred in Xi'an, Shanxi. It was still dark when two high-ranking military officers placed China's supreme leader under house arrest. This leader was Chiang Kai-shek. He was 50 years old. And one of the high-ranking officers who imprisoned him was Zhang Xueliang, son of the warlord Zhang Zuolin.
西安事变其实是那个蒋先实行这个所谓的安内攘外政策的一个重要的一个转折点。
因为蒋先生他认为说要抗日是一定要的，但是在抗日之前要先能够完成整个国家的建设，那要扫除这些军事上的障碍，所以他要剿共。
Winter in Xi'an was very cold. Chiang Kai-shek, who was under house arrest by rebellious underlings, felt his heart frozen, colder than the snow. Throughout the long night, he concentrated on praying to God, I learned from books of the saints. I was baptized in the holy water. Unless I set a model for future generations, how could I face my parents and heaven and earth?
蒋先他的整个宗教信仰是一个内在的，它是一种灵修，他把宗教信仰作为他自己一个自省自修的一个过程。
在他的日记里面反映出来的，他确实是很诚恳的相信上帝，因为他也相信说他的使命，如果是那个上帝那个批准的话，上帝会帮忙他。好，那有这样子的信仰，也让他可以走得下去。
In order to fulfill the commitment to Song Meiling's mother, upon which she agreed to their marriage, Chiang Kai-Shek was baptized in Shanghai in 1928. He wrote in his diary, "The principles are my faith for political action. Christianity is my only spiritual faith. I'm willing from now on to make Jesus my role model, to save human beings and the world, and this vow shall never slacken."
当他要提亲的时候，宋老太太就告诉他：“我们都要嫁给基督徒的。”当年蒋公就告诉他说：“假如为了结婚的缘故，我做基督徒，你大概也不会高兴。”他说：“我答应你，从今天开始，我都读圣经。”真的，蒋公每天读圣经。
Praying long into the night, Chiang Kai-shek refused to, as proposed by Zhang Xueliang, immediately stop the civil war and fight against Japan. He made a will to his wife and was prepared to die. "I've decided to die for our country, so don't worry about me. I was born for the revolution, and it will be for the revolution that I shall die. I must give a clean body back to my parents and heaven and earth. Don't risk the danger of coming to Xi'an." At the time, Song Meiling was trying to rescue him. She begged her elder brother Song Ziwan, who had gone to Xi'an to mediate, to convey to Chiang Kai-shek that if Ziwan did not return in 3 days, Meiling would come to Xi'an to die with him. After marrying Chiang Kai-shek, Song Meiling had proved to be a great help to him. She supported the efforts of nation building and injected great vigor into the New Life movement and the development of the Air Force.
那我们确实看到，在这个蒋宋结合之后，无论是在外交上，在一些政治场合上，在一些社会运动上，蒋夫人都扮演了一个辅助的角色。
After the Northern Expedition brought about unification, the ROC entered the golden decade of political tutelage. Chiang took on the responsibility of maintaining internal security and repelling foreign invasion, working hard at nation building in every field, promoting economic, social, and educational reform. China again was filled with hope. However, Japan eyed China like a ravenous tiger, never slackening its ambition or actions to invade the country. In 1928, amidst the Northern Expedition, Japanese troops detained and slaughtered Chinese troops in Jinan Shandong. Chiang swallowed the assault, but afterward began to write "expunge the humiliation" on the top of his diary every day, vowing to fight the Japanese to expunge the national humiliation. The Chinese communists were gaining strength and started revolting against the government. Chiang was keenly aware of this while preparing to fight the Japanese. Zhang Xueliang did not see things as clearly and initiated the Xi'an incident.
蒋先也非常清楚，因为中日迟早要一战。那么，如果中国的国力不坚强的话，就算是你内部的变乱全部都平定了，反对的力量都没有了，但是你自己本身国力不大，仍然还是没有办法跟日本对抗。所以这个时候呢，他另外一个积极的目的呢，其实就是在加强自己本身的力量。就是如果没有那几年时间，如果没有那个黄金10年的建设，那么中国是不是有这个能力跟日本呢来进行8年的抗战？这个是很难说的。
On December 22, 1936, an airplane landed at Xi'an Airport. A beautiful young woman wearing a qipao alighted from the aircraft. Zhang Xueliang was on the tarmac to greet her. She was Song Meiling. Song had taken the risk to go to Xi'an and enter the tiger's lair to seek a way to resolve the crisis. The stalemate quickly resolved. 3 days later, on Christmas Day, Jiang, accompanied by Zhang Xueliang, left Xi'an. After the Xi'an incident, Jiang's reputation soared. The government had a grand rapprochement with the communists. Then Japan quickly provoked the Marco Polo Bridge incident and exceeded the line of tolerance of the Chinese. The long war of resistance against Japan thus began. On July 7, 1937, Japan fabricated the Marco Polo Bridge incident, heralding its goal of completely subjugating China. They rashly proclaimed that China would be done in 3 months. Jiang immediately declared in Lushan, Jiangxi, an all-out war of resistance against Japan. It has reached the 11th hour. All the people have to devote their lives for the survival of their country. At this last juncture, we must sacrifice everything and fight the war of resistance to the end. There is no room for compromise. China was not even vaguely in the same class as Japan in terms of military power. Other major powers folded their arms and watched from the sidelines. Jiang led the nation to fight Japan alone. In Shanghai, they fought staunchly for over 3 months, incurring immense losses. It demonstrated China's determination and ability to resist Japan, and amazed foreign observers.
他在这个时候，基本上他就已经有一个策略，就是要以中国的大后方来延续整个，也就是我们一般所谓的以空间换取时间。
As the Battle of Shanghai wound down, the ROC government announced its relocation to Chongqing to prepare for a long war of resistance. During the first 4 years, Jiang mobilized the country and went through arduous challenges, sparing no effort to wage war against Japan.
抗战到底，中间任何的挫折、任何的失败、任何的打击，他没有动摇他的意志。
On December 8, 1941, Japan secretly attacked the American naval base at Pearl Harbor, igniting the Pacific War. Having waited for a change in the international situation, China officially declared war on Japan and allied itself with the US and Britain to counter aggression. China's perseverance in fighting alone against Japan won it great esteem from the Allies. The tide of war took a favorable turn.
大家一起反日本嘛，因为你的大敌人是日本哈。然后大家一起反的时候，你就有机会以小博大。
In 1942, U.S. President Roosevelt named Jiang the Supreme Commander of Allied forces in the China theater, affirming his outstanding performance in leading the war of resistance against Japan. The U.S. awarded Jiang the Legion of Merit Medal the next year. 1943 was a glorious year. The US and Britain took the initiative to renounce their privileges in China and sign new treaties of equality. Other countries followed. China finally threw off the shackles of unequal treaties and took a place among the 4 great powers. In November 1943, the Cairo Declaration announced that following Japan's defeat, all the territories Japan had stolen from the Chinese shall be restored to the Republic of China. It was the first time an ROC head of state sat on an equal footing with other heads of state. This marked the peak of China's diplomatic accomplishments during the war. In 1945, Japan declared its unconditional surrender, and the long 8-year war of resistance finally came to an end. The greatest national humiliation in 50 years, and the greatest oppression and shame of my own life, has now been completely wiped away.
所以，因此他的这个铁板的这抗战的意志，这是抗战最后胜利的一个最重要的因素。
In addition, Mr. Jiang's humanitarian spirit and great concern for the welfare of the people led him to vigorously advocate the freedom and equality of all disadvantaged minorities around the world.
所以，这个都是我们国父的这个民族主义，他所讲的。我们济弱扶穷，我们的世界上其他弱小国家，我们要帮助他们。所以抗战胜利是我们三民主义的民族主义完全完成的。
After the war, Chiang Kai-Shek not only didn't take retaliatory measures against Japan, he even did all he could to help Japan recover and heal the scars of war.
有些人 对他非常高的评价。为什么？因为他就那一句，就是以德报怨那一句，救了日本，帮助日本战后快速的复兴这样。
Chiang could face the tribulations of war rationally and turned an enemy into a friend. This virtuous behavior also established an excellent example.
从他的人格特质上面，我们就可以了解到，他其实是一个非常认真，他对他自己的要求非常严格，就是一个可以说是完美主义者嘛。他对于他自己的自律的要求非常高。
我认为反正他的一举一动啦，一言一行啊，都可以作为国家的标准模板。
他懂得在一些关键的时刻能够找到一些方法去解决当时的困境，结果我觉得这是一种很不平凡的这种地方。
Played a very big role in that he charged the Japanese and so reduced the Japanese attacks on the Americans, so which once again helped the British in Europe against the Germans. So he was really a world statesman, bringing together everybody to help the Allies win the war.
Following the victory in the War of Resistance, Chiang Kai-Shek, in pursuit of Dr. Sun Yat-sen's will, was determined to carry out constitutional governance. On December 25, 1946, the National Assembly officially adopted the ROC Constitution, which took effect on December 25, 1947. April 1948, Chiang Kai-shek was elected the first president of the Republic of China. This was an important milestone in the ROC's development of constitutional governance. After victory in the War of Resistance against Japan, tremendous problems required attention. Corrupt officials, a tattered economy, and the re-emergence of the Chinese communists. Beset by conditions within and without, the government was unable to cope and lost the support of the people.
胜利来得太快，突然间胜利，打了这么样的广大的土地，这么多人口，一下子要安定下来，这是很不容易的事。
In 1949, after leading the ROC to victory in the War of Resistance against Japan, Chiang, within merely 4 years, was forced to lead over 1.2 million soldiers, officials, and people to retreat to Taiwan.
随着军事的一路的败退，西南也没有了，西北更早，然后西南，然后到东南沿海都没有，所以最后中华民国的政府是到38年的12月才一起迁到了台湾。
During this year, there were nothing but bitter setbacks for Chiang. Despised by all and reviled most basely, it was as miserable as anyone could ever encounter.
当然啦，这1949年对他的一生的革命事业来讲，是一个大挫败啊，也是一个大的一种耻辱啊。
对于国民党在内战打输的反省，最严厉的人就是蒋介石他自己。他的反省，为什么我们会输？
Up to today, the party and country I've nourished have been ruined by me. How can one bear such a horrible situation and circumstances?
所以你要看他不断的从1949年开始在演讲，在日记里面的反省，他到底哪里出错？除了那个军事将领无能啊，没有人才啊，好，那他自己他甚至说自己太独裁啊、刚愎啊、自用啊，所以于是乎就没有办法做很好的决策啊，这些都是他的反省的范围。但是输就是事实嘛，他就是撤到台湾来。那个时候，其实蒋夫人是到美国去，他们就安排说让他流亡，因为他们既然没有能力在中国阻挡共产党那个占据中国，那就让这个共产党统一中国。那蒋介石怎么办呢？他没有自然的那个的话，就安排给他流亡。他说我不干。
I must defend Taiwan to my death and safeguard this territory. This is my innate duty as a citizen. I would never turn it over to the Allies. If Taiwan is lost, I will die in Taiwan to fulfill my duty.
所以他当然希望能够在 再起。如果真的万一连台湾都保不住的话，那他就殉国就是了。
Post-1949 Taiwan faced the threat of armed liberation from the Chinese communists and fought several fierce battles in self-defense. Shells resounded and flashed across the Taiwan Strait. The entire nation's armed forces and populace staunchly defended Taiwan.
最重要就是要怎么样能够保卫台湾。
In 1950, Chiang, with the backing and expectations of many, resumed his position as president of the ROC in Taipei. The international situation, as well as the internal atmosphere, was pretty tense. Under threat of military invasion and domestic subversion, Chiang persisted in implementing martial law.
那么在保卫台湾，除了武力保卫台湾之后，内部的控制也是非常重要。因为如果说内部控制不是那么严密的话，那么这个保卫台湾事实上呢也成为空话。
After World War II, the whole world entered the Cold War, an era of lasting conflict between the democratic nations and the communist bloc. In 1950, the Korean War broke out, and the U.S. sent its 7th Fleet to help defend Taiwan. Strategically located, Taiwan naturally became a bastion for the democratic bloc. The situation gradually stabilized. Overcoming the worst circumstances, Chiang slowly but surely opened up a brand new scenario in Taiwan. Although currently opinions are divided about him in Taiwan, it cannot be denied that at the time, Kai-Shek indeed led the military and civilian populace through this stormy era.
他给全部的台湾人民带来了一个就是说没有被统治在共产主义的这个项目，那他可以让全部的台湾的百姓，他都享受到这个自由的这种快乐。
This photograph shows that Chiang Kai-Shek and Song Mei-ling came to Taichung, Taiwan on a trip in 1946. It was the first time they had tasted Taiwan's bananas, and they were ecstatic.
蒋先生对台湾其实是长期以来就有一种特殊的感情。
He painfully recollected in his diary, "I was 9 when my father died. That same year, Taiwan was lost. It's been 51 years since then."
所以这一个对他的记忆非常的深刻。他后来呢，为什么对台湾呢这个感情深厚，或者自制的要想把这个失去的台湾呢恢复，跟这一年的记忆有关系。他认为呢，失去台湾澎湖，就像蒋中正失去他的父亲一样。
Taiwan, a piece of China's territory located on the southeast coast, had been taken over by a strong neighbor. That was the memory inscribed deeply in Chiang's mind. In 1921, he took a ship from Guangzhou to Shanghai and made a stop in Keelung, staying for a few hours. Taiwan was still under Japanese rule. Chiang wanted to go ashore but was unable to do so. He wrote in his diary, "I've come here from Guangdong province and want to go ashore for a tour, but cannot get permission to do so." In 1935, he discussed matters pertaining to Taiwan with the envoy to Japan and recalled that, "I really want to go there." In 1943, in the Cairo conference with the U.S. and Great Britain, he insisted upon the return of Taiwan.
恢复台湾是国民党的政策，这个抗战就是要收复台湾。
On October 21, 1946, Chiang Kai-Shek and Madame Chiang temporarily left behind the political turmoil. They flew from Nanjing to Taipei to take part in the commemoration of the first anniversary of the retrocession of Taiwan. This was the first time he set foot on the island.
1周年的7天的活动，我们看他走过了很多的地方。总的来讲他受到台湾民众的一种热切的欢迎。
He wrote in his diary, "Taking a drive from Taichung through Wufeng, Caotuan, Guizhou, and Puli. All along the way, the public and students lined up to welcome us. 8 years of the War of Resistance resulted in the recovery of Taiwan. Seeing the Taiwanese compatriots made me feel vindicated. Their genuine feelings and admiration, as revealed in their speech and expressions, are hard to describe with words. On the morning of October 25th, the first anniversary of Taiwan retrocession, Chiang went from the Grass Mountain Chateau to the Civic Auditorium, which is today's Zhongshan Hall. The public and students crowded the way with a warm reception. He wrote, "From Zhongshan Bridge to the Civic Auditorium Plaza, a route of more than 10 li, stretched an unbroken line of people in a mood of wild exultation. It stirred this heart of mine to no limit."
他在阳台上大概有20几万民众在那个跟他热烈的欢呼他也讲了很多话这个发表了一个1周年的一种告台湾同胞书那种讲话。
Today, we are celebrating the first anniversary of Taiwan's retrocession. I come especially to take part in this gala celebration and to meet my Taiwanese compatriots, from whom I've been separated for 50 years, to jointly celebrate Taiwan's retrocession. It has fulfilled my aspiration of 5 decades. This is the happiest and most glorious day of my life. He had been a military man for all his life, and even though the war was over, he could still not rest on his laurels. Strained before coming to Taiwan, he finally felt a bit of relaxation and joy. This island had a special place in his heart. But could his ideal be realized here? Today's Taiwan is a treasure island of friendliness, openness, and convenience, a reservoir of Chinese culture full of pluralistic cultural vitality.
台湾の人たちがとても優しくて活気のある国だと思いました。
Located on the front line of the Cold War of the 1950s and 60s, and in a precarious climate of international politics, Taiwan, though under martial law, implemented constitutional governance. It held free elections and gradually transformed from an agricultural to a modern industrial society. It created an economic miracle, hailed as one of Asia's 4 little dragons. How did it accomplish this?
蒋先生到台湾之后，他有3个大的目标。第一个目标是反攻大陆，第2个目标是建设台湾，第3个目标是争取美国的援助，或者说争取国际地位。那这个3者之间是互相结合在一起的。你要反攻大陆，你就先要建设台湾。
Taiwan has not yet been infiltrated by the communists and can be regarded as a pristine territory. From now on, we should build it up and make it a model province.
长远的目标是要光复大陆，可是最直接的、最近的目标就是要建设台湾。
After relocating to Taiwan, land reform and agricultural development were the most pressing priorities of the government.
港早油气田的推行呢，对了台湾过去传统，当到天农天主的了救贫以及有钱农无钱那个贫富个拉锯呢，接票呢。
跟着这天在工地放领，那么开放4大工资给民营。 这些是最主要，当时把台湾的经济稳住。
Promotion of local autonomy became the foremost task for practicing democracy.
蒋先其实真的是有心要实行民主。中国大陆之所以丢掉，有很多的原因，包括军事的、政治的、社会的、经济的。其中有一个原因，他认为是强行，还没有到时间要强行民主。 从整个中华民国的民主发展，我们其实很清楚看到，孙中山先当年在同盟会的时候就奠定了军政、训政、宪政3个步骤，所以他很明显的，他是一个教育不够各种的情况。
Remembering the mistakes of defeat, Chiang spared no effort to educate the people of Taiwan about democracy.
我们看到，其实，在这么动乱的时候，民国39年，台湾就开始实行地方自治，全台湾各地的这个地方上就已经开始选举。
Democracy from the bottom up took root and allowed Taiwan to enjoy its abundant fruits.
他是一个坚持到底的人。即便在戒严的状况里面，一样要实施所谓的民主化投票。
觉得他最大的贡献就是让我们可以自由的发展那个民主宪政。
Probably laid the foundation for modern and democratic Taiwan, which can be an example for mainland China.
In 1967, an international crisis broke out. In the faraway Middle East, Israel defeated Egypt in merely 6 days.
毛泽东派人去看，他们什么道理？回来报告说以色列的教育很好，所以要军事要用现代的武器。那个小毕业生的从员呢，来当兵呢水准不够，基于这么多方面的原因。所以当时要加强推行这个是国小毕业生面试这些方案，进而就是推行9年制的公民教育。
1年之内我就成立了13个国中，3个分部，还有设立3地国中。所以这个9年国民教育实施对整个国民的素质提高了。
After these students grew up, they became the seeds of Taiwan's economic miracle and had a far-reaching impact on Taiwan's development. At the time, when Mao Zedong pushed for the great proletarian cultural revolution, Chiang Kai-Shek countered with a 10-year-long Chinese cultural renaissance movement. This was the high point of Taiwan's cultural construction. It not only attracted many international sinologists to do research in Taiwan, but also made Taiwan the world sinology center.
从民国55年到民国70年左右台湾的地位是越来越低，是吧？每况愈下，但是在文化上却是非常高的。
我认为传统的文化这一块是把它继承下来了，这个我觉得台湾比大陆做得好。
让我们就是过去5000年的文化不至于在文革就被破坏消失殆尽，至少这些文化能在我们台湾能够世世代代继续存留下来，这样。
Believing that one should strive for the well-being of the world, Chiang's high standard of morality was also reflected in his ideas for educating the people. Propriety, justice, honesty, and a sense of shame, along with the 4 ethical principles and 8 cardinal virtues, were among the traditional values instilled in the hearts of the people.
现在一般人现在讲到台湾人都很有规矩啦，很什么，那种一种无形中的教育，这点是非常重要。
从小学开始，我们进入，我那时候是女师附小，进到里面第一个就是4维8德，这是我们的生活的一个训词。然后我们背的是什么？我们背的是那个青年守则，12条青年守则。你也许现在你们觉得说，哎呀，这种都教规了，但是我自己觉得，就是因为有这样子一个根本在上面，让我们知道说我们做人处事，我们的 standard， 我们的标准在哪里。
Not only that, Chiang Kai-Shek, who spent his entire life as a revolutionary, also displayed tremendous perseverance in local development.
你讲说台湾走透透最早的是蒋中正因为什么？他要建设台湾当然这个山巅水边这个各个乡村角落几乎都有他的足迹了。
他不但去召见地方上的县市长、民意代表、乡镇长、民众服务这一点，也是警察的派出所的。他都去了解他们这种需要与迫切的这种经验。
These are the cars Chiang used for traveling around Taiwan. Even though they are over 50 years old, they are well preserved. You can imagine him riding in them through the country roads everywhere on the island. Through these thorough inspection tours, Chiang Kai-Shek could better understand the people and local developments all over the island.
蒋先生呢是这个大事小事啊都会关心的。
他一直是四面八方他都在看，他点点滴滴的事情啊，他有的都什么人看到了，看到一点点东西以后，哎，这个左边这个，
只要发现这个地方啊，是说排水沟没做好啦，或者这小学的设备不好啦，或者是这个脏乱啦，他马上就会交代这个水种的人记下来，要到政府机关呢要去要求改善。
所以他没有看到的，你要先看到；他没有听到的，你要先把它听到。
我是觉得说比较特殊的一点就是，其实他很重视台湾人的感觉。你要当反攻基地，你如果反攻基地人不支持你，你怎么把它当基地？
他一直要我们旁边的守卫人员要学台湾话。先生的意思，守卫人要跟本省人啊，能够接触，能够沟通，打成一片，这是他的想法。
所以你不要以为他只是一个，好像是一个军人，是一个政治的一种领袖而已。事实上啊，老百姓的一种生活面啊。你不要看它，这个还是很细微的。
Despite facing severe international challenges, Chiang insisted on his stance of anti-communism and made every effort to safeguard the ROC's international status.
这个很多人都把蒋公看作是一个顽固的老人，其实不是，在外交政策上，他有一定的方针。但是在外交策略上，蒋公是非常有弹性的。联合国到最后一次1971，当时我们给他的建议就是对于重要问题案改到排我是重要的，纳中共不再是重要的，同时双重代表。那我们对于重要问题案要支持，对于双重代表案，我们不要反对。暗中有人问我们，我们说我们不能公开的支持，但是如果通过了，我们可以接受。这样子就争取到很多的国家愿意支持双重代表案，这一些蒋公都支持。
Even though he faced diplomatic setbacks at the time, great strides in politics, economy, and people's livelihood won him widespread support and affection in Taiwan.
因为蒋公在嘛，繁荣得很快。到我读初中的时候，有电视、有冰箱，什么都有了。
他给我们的信仰是有国家的观念。 让每个人心怀希望。
台湾到今天有这样子的繁荣幸福跟自由，那蒋中正先生他在他执政跟领导的阶段，他是打下的基础是丰
满。有关蒋公的纪念日啊，诞辰啊，那我们都要游行哦。我觉得现在都没有那些东西，反而觉得好像有点失落感。 我们就是根深蒂固，没有什么东西。为什么？因为他是总统，对不对？他是蒋公啊，就是每个心里就是很尊敬他。
Having devoted his life to revolution for more than half a century, Chiang Kai-Shek finally saw his ideals flower on this island, and those flowers bloomed beautifully. After Chiang arrived in Taiwan, his life and mood were relatively quiet and comfortable. Now the Heavenly Father has bestowed upon me this beautiful treasure island. In part, it gives me an opportunity to recuperate my body and mind, and in part to prepare for recovering the mainland. Throughout history, has anyone been bestowed with such? To love and be loved by my wife, with affection that grows with age. My family also grows more harmonious. Amid life's tribulations, this is the greatest happiness.
所以家庭生活是他非常强调的一个工作。他说家庭生活圆满就是人生一个最大的幸福。
As his mood changed, so did his look. His appearance gradually switched from the look of a majestic leader to the look of an affable elder.
他是脸色是中正，或者在我自己的感觉上，是我的母亲，是我的爷爷，也是我的老师。我的感情同他是很深的。
他虽然他觉得他是非常温柔语气，对我们来讲还是很威严的，但是他眼睛里面的对我们那个眼神看出来，就知道说他是很疼爱我们的。
This is Jiaobanshan Villa in Fuxing, Taoyuan. Chiang Kai-Shek found the scenery very similar to his hometown and often came to stay. Now it has become a well-known tourist attraction. Chiang loved to tour around scenic spots, even more so after he came to Taiwan. Many of his resorts are located in these spots. All of them left traces of his trips to see and live near the people in various parts of Taiwan. Mountains are quiet and solid, so I am happy amidst mountains. Rivers are clean and peaceful, so I am happy amidst rivers. Mountains and rivers are my real lifelong friends.
他在日记里面描述台湾的风景，你就觉得说，耶，那我这个欣赏力不够，他就说那个美到怎么样？
This is what he wrote after spending several days at Sun Moon Lake. The green of lake waters, the transparency of mountain images. The scenery is absolutely fabulous. This truly is the ideal scenery of a lifetime.
这个蒋先生的生活啊，其实还是蛮丰富的。不管他经历过那么样一个丰功伟业，经历过那么样的大的世面啊，他回到他的家庭里面来，他就是个人。
Chiang Kai-Shek loved to read and read widely. He read in order to cultivate himself and to acquire knowledge. He read for strategic purposes, for relaxation, and for religious faith. His reading lists included traditional classics, socialist works, religious texts, history, science, and philosophy. He read this Bible until it became frayed, a gift from his mother-in-law Ni Guizhen. It had a profound and far-reaching effect.
我觉得他就是一个人，而且是一个蛮可爱的人。只是他背负了很多国家的使命，背负了很多大的责任。
In the quiet and comfort of family life, it became clear that he was fond of many things. Last night I took my grandsons Alex and Eddie for a walk to the grassy slope at the back of the park. We sat on the ground, then lay down to gaze at the moon with no cares in the world. Watching movies was also part of Chiang Kai-shek's everyday life, an entertainment he enjoyed a great deal.
这个老人家喜欢看的片子跟现在年轻人不大一样，他喜欢看像从前演京戏里边忠孝节义，只要符合这4个字的，他都喜欢看。
In 1970, a film entitled Home Sweet Home became very popular. The plot depicts the story of a scholar returning to Taiwan from his study abroad, who decides to stay to help the development of the nation. This resonated deeply with Chiang Kai-shek. Scholars should be paid for their efforts and encouraged in every field to come home and take part in the work. At the time, diplomatic situations were precarious, and the dream of retaking the mainland was diminishing. Home Sweet Home undoubtedly captured the mood of Chiang Kai-shek in his later life. Taiwan had become his home. On April 5, 1975, the President of the Republic of China, Chiang Kai-shek, passed away at the presidential residence in Shilin. He was 89 years old. To this very day, through rapidly changing circumstances, Chiang Kai-shek's staunchness, courage, and perception regarding the stabilization, reform, and development of the nation are still outstanding and irreplaceable. The foundation of prosperity he built for succeeding generations through revolution, the Northern Expedition, and war of resistance against Japan, his lifelong diligent patriotism will remain in the hearts of every citizen of the Republic of China.